Welcome to Vitalis Esala Leadership Layout, where management theory becomes real leadership practice. My name is Vitalis Esala, and through my doctoral training in management and my work in real-world leadership settings, I explore how leaders can actually lead people effectively, not just in theory, but in practice. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever looked at your team and thought, why are these people so difficult to work with? Maybe you've said, they don't communicate, they're not motivated, they just don't get it. But what if I told you, most of the time, the problem is not your people. The problem is the system they are working in. Yes. And until you understand that, you will keep trying to fix people when what actually needs to be fixed is how the work is structured. That's what I mean by the system. Great leaders don't start by asking who is the problem. They start by asking what in this system is creating this behavior. Because here's the truth. People don't just behave randomly. Their behavior is shaped by the environment you put them in. Even you behave by the environment. You respond to the stimulus in the environment. Let's make this practical. In organizational leadership, we look at things like structure, processes, goals, communication patterns, roles and responsibilities. These are not just background details. These are the forces shaping how your team behaves every day. For example, if roles are unclear, people will step on each other's toes. If goals are confusing, people will work hard on the wrong things, you see? And if communication is inconsistent, misunderstandings will multiply. And then what happens? Leaders say, we have a problem or a people problem. But in reality, you have a system design problem. Let me give you a real-world example from a hospital environment. Imagine a unit where nurses feel overwhelmed, and they do. Communication between shifts is poor. Doctors and nurses seem frustrated with each other. A leader might say, these nurses need to communicate better. Maybe. They might even say, there's too much attitude in here. Maybe. But if you look deeper, you might discover that shift handoffs are rushed and unstructured. Staffing levels are inconsistent, or there is no clear process for escalating concerns. And that in itself is a system failure. So what looks like bad attitude is actually system pressure showing up through people. And here's the danger. If you only address the people, you might give them training, which is good. You might tell them to do better, which is good. Or even replace them. Is it good to replace them? Maybe, maybe not. But the same problems will come back because the system did not change. This is where emotional intelligence becomes critical. Emotionally intelligent leaders don't rush to judge people. They pause and ask, what are people experiencing right now? What are they feeling? What pressures are they under? What might be driving this behavior? Instead of saying they are the problem, they ask, what is happening around them that is shaping this behavior. You know, I was in a situation once, and at work I was making a lot of mistakes, even mistakes that I would not normally make. But my manager did not try to find out the environment I was coming from. You know, when shift changes are not handled properly, the entire shift can be thrown off. The person can be in a different mindset. They can be in a different, environment, emotionally speaking. But when you understand that the system is the problem, that shifts everything. Because now you are not reacting, you are diagnosing. Now let's go deeper. Transformational leadership is not just about inspiring people. It's about changing the environment in which people operate. Because you can motivate someone all day, but if the system is broken, motivation will collapse under pressure. Transformational leaders redesign workflows. They clarify goals. They align teams. They remove barriers. They don't just say, work harder. They say, let's make it easier to succeed. It becomes a team project. And this leads us to servant leadership. Servant leaders don't ask, why are my people failing me? They ask, how is the system failing my people? That's a powerful shift. Because now your role as a leader becomes removing obstacles, creating clarity, supporting performance. Instead of blaming people, you start serving them through better systems. And when you serve people, guess what? They will produce more. They will perform better. I'm not talking about tricking them. I'm talking about serving them, giving them the system that will make them succeed. Here's the mistake many leaders make. They see a problem and they immediately go to coaching the individual, or correcting the behavior, or holding people accountable. All of that can be good, but now accountability is important. I'm not saying no. But if you skip diagnosis, you risk this. You punish people for problems they do not create, or they did not create. And over time, trust decreases. That's the danger zone. When your people do not trust the system anymore, engagement drops. Turnover increases. Not because people are weak, but because the system is exhausting them. So what should you do as a leader? Here's a simple framework you can start using immediately. Before you say, this is a people problem, ask, 1, are the goals clear? Because if the goals are not clear, then what are we doing? Are the goals clear? Do people actually understand what success looks like? When people tell me I want to succeed, I always ask them, what does success look like to you? So you have to define that. 2, are the roles defined? What am I to do here? Because some people like me, we function like GPSs. GPS devices. You put the coordinates in me and then I can function. But if I don't know what you want me to do, how am I going to figure that out? Are the roles clear, defined? Do people know what they are responsible for and what they are not? 3, are the processes working? Or are people constantly improving just to get things done? 4, is communication structured? Communication is everything, right? So is communication structured? Or are you relying on people to figure it out? Number 5, is the workload realistic? Come on, this is basic, right? Or are you expecting performance under constant pressure? Pressure is not going to do it. If any of these are broken, the system is shaping the behavior you are seeing. Let me give you a powerful reframe. Instead of asking, who is causing the problem? Start asking, what conditions are producing this result? That question alone can transform your leadership. So here's the bottom line. Most organizational problems are not about people. They are about the systems leaders create. And great leadership begins when you realize behavior is not random. People are responding to structure. And systems drive outcomes. I insist on that, not people, but systems. Because people can be replaced. But systems that work by themselves do not fail. Just look at a system like Amazon. The system is running itself. That is a system. This week, I want to challenge you. Before you correct someone, before you label someone as difficult, pause and ask, what in this system might be creating this behavior? Because the moment you start diagnosing systems instead of blaming people, you don't just become a better manager, you become a real leader. If you found this helpful, I'll be sharing more insights on leadership, emotional intelligence, and organizational effectiveness every week. This is Vitalis Esala Leadership Lab, where management theory becomes real leadership practice. See you in the next video. I'll be sharing insights like this every week, drawing from advanced leadership research and real-world practice.